Hey guys, this could be my first YouTube video, but in the amount of time it just took me to get this set up, you can see I'm probably going to overcomplicate this just like most things in life, so we'll see how it goes. So today I've got a bit of moose. I got half a moose to cut up. I absolutely love cutting up moose. Never ever taken moose to the butcher, we've always cut it ourselves. I don't do it very complicated. I don't use any fancy tools. I just debone my meat and then cut it up accordingly. So I'll go through it and take you guys along, and hopefully you can learn something. So this part of the video, part one, will just be going through how I set up my shop. I just cut here in my garage, and I'm gonna just talk about how I set up and get ready to cut. And then in part two, we'll go into actually cutting up the meat, and we'll even get into a few little things about slicing the meat and bagging it. Alright, enjoy! Alright, so I'm just going to cut it up here in my garage. As you can see, it's a complete mess right now. Well, it's been worse, but it's been a lot better too. So, there's junk everywhere. The most important thing to me, first piece of advice is to make sure you get everything cleaned up and set up first. You don't want to have your meat hanging and getting warm if you're in a heated space, or having a couple muscles off and then realize that you need a knife or you need bags or something, tramping through the house full of blood, and just not being organized is not good for this. So I usually take just as long to get my space set up as I do to actually cut the meat, pretty much, so unless it's a full moose. So I'll just clean up all this junk, and you don't need to go crazy with it and wipe everything down, but make sure that you got a fairly clean working space and you're set up so everything's right at your fingertips. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, and then we'll get at it. So you just see me sweep. I generally don't recommend sweeping. I don't sweep up the floor, and I wouldn't have swept up that if I didn't have to, but I'm going to be actually cutting meat on the surface. Well, not directly on it, but still. But if you sweep, you're going to get a lot of dust up in the air, and then the dust is going to be in the air when you're cutting. So you're better off, if there's dust in the corner of your shop, I personally would leave it there rather than start stirring it up and getting it all up in the air. But anyway, we got this cleaned up now, and next thing, we'll get a bit of cardboard and lay down, and we'll be one step closer to getting started. Lay down some cardboard now. I don't know if there's clean cardboard, but I wouldn't recommend using cardboard from, say, meat products, or, you know, a box that chicken has come in or something. This is fairly decent boxes that come from some kind of printing company, so still probably shouldn't eat your dinner off them, but they're a little bit cleaner than something that's got a bunch of bacteria on them from the start. So I also don't like my cardboard moving around when I'm trying to cut. I usually use cutting boards on top, but still I don't want things moving around, so I'll usually just put a piece of duct tape around the edge to keep it in place. Alright, so it's still not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better. So you can see we got most of the stuff cleaned off our workspace there. Lots of stuff around the garage still, that's fine. It's just you need a space here, so the meat's going to be hung right up here. So I got a nice clean working space, and might have to move the table side, we'll see in a minute. And alright, so now we need some bowls and some other tools, and then we'll be getting a lot closer to cutting. Alright, so we'll go through some of what I got here now. So we got big bags and small bags, and I'll go into that later when we start bagging it, but I'll talk about how I use big and small bags. A couple of knives. So I just got a regular fillet knife, and I have a hunting knife. This is the one that
I use probably the most when I'm actually taking the muscles off. A lot of people taking muscles off and deboning, they're like a deboning knife, something similar to a fillet knife, I guess, where it's very flexible. This is, I don't use that. I've used deboning knives, they're a little bit different than a fillet knife, but I just personally can't get used to it. I like a shorter blade. So this is a Cabela's knife, but it's a buck blade and it holds its edge really good. And I use that to take most of the muscles off. Also, obviously a sharp knife is extremely important, so if you can't sharpen knives or whatever, I guess everyone can, but if you think you can't, then you can also consider one of these Havalon knives. So this is the Havalon fillet knife here. It's got a really long blade. I probably wouldn't recommend using this for cutting meat maybe, but I also have the shorter one. One thing that scares me about these, they're extremely sharp, which is a good thing, but a couple of guys at work had the blades actually pop off. They're just sitting on there, so they might have been using them wrong, but I guess be careful just in case it is an issue. I don't know. Definitely can't comment on it. I haven't used it hardly ever. Then we got bowls, so I got regular stainless steel bowls. Big is always better for this, so I actually went and bought a super big bowl. I don't know if you can tell just how big it is, but it's actually a really big bowl. I got it from Princess Auto. It is a 14.2 liter stainless steel basin. It works pretty good. One thing about bowls though, I don't really like this kind of bowl is what I have, but I actually don't like it because you can see it's a very deep, narrow bowl, and if you're putting meat in it, you're taking off the muscles and you're throwing it in, and over time the meat might be sitting in this while you're cutting other meat, and then the stuff that's on the bottom is squat by a pile on the top, and you end up getting a lot of the blood squeezed out, and I don't know if it really matters, but I just don't particularly like doing that. So then what I've moved to, what I use a lot is trays. So I got a couple of like super cheap trays that I've just saved over a little while. So these are just plastic ones, nice stainless steel trays or something probably better, or platters I guess you call them. So they're nice because you can lay the mussels along them instead of stacking them all up on top of each other. I don't know if it really matters. Then move that to the side. Then cutting boards is important. The best thing will be a really large cutting board. I know Halford sells a really big one. One of these days I'll break down and buy it. But in the meantime, I just use a bunch of small cutting boards. Today is going to be a bunch less than normal because I just threw out a bunch. Because these things get really chowdered up. You buy cheap cutting boards. They're not the type that can be refinished, and or not that I know of. Maybe somebody will tell me different. And anyway, you use them for a while and ditch them. It's probably not good to use something like wood cutting boards for this unless you cut them, wash them real good or something. And most of the paranoid people will say don't use them at all. So I don't use them. I use these plastic ones. I'm not sure that is any better. I don't know about plastic in my food, but anyway, so we got bowls. I'll lay these out in a minute, and knife, cutting board. Soon time to get the meat. Okay, once you get your bowls laid out, I guess if you had a very short memory span, you might have to label them, but one thing's important though is plan out what's going where. So generally I haven't even decided right this minute what's going where, but I'll generally have bowls designated certain things. So have in mind before you start cutting, before you even look at the meat, what you're trying to get out of it. So for me, I only ever cut fry meat, a lot of fry meat, and I'll show you what I'm calling fry meat. So if I can get fry out of a cut, that's what I'll do. And then I'll usually take a significant amount for stew meat, which is basically just cubed up meat that we'll use for moose soup or stew or a couple of other recipes. And then I keep some other cuts for jerky. I make my own jerky, and some for grind. So I have ground my own meat, but in last little while I've been, there's a butcher here that does really good grind. He mixes a bit of pork with it, and I just usually will take a big bowl of deboned, cleaned up meat to him, and he doesn't charge very much to just toss it in his grinder. Okay, so I'll plan out what's going where, and then we'll move on. I'll show you how I'm going to hang the meat now. I'll just grab a meat hook and I'll show you. Okay, this is what I was calling the meat hook. So I guess that's exactly what it is. Also from Princess Auto, fairly cheap. Can't remember how much. It was a couple of years ago. It's a 7.5 inch stainless steel meat hook. These I find really good to use when you're handling meat yourself. There's no one here to help me put meat up. Most people around here will just tie the meat up with rope, but you'll see that this works a lot better, at least in my opinion. So what I have is this hook, and up in that beam I got a hole drilled right through, a piece of rope hung just in a loop, and that's there permanently. It doesn't have to be, but anyway, that's where I'm going to hook my meat hook. So I'll just put this hook into the meat, and I'll show you that in 1 second. Alright, so as you can see, normally we just hang it up with rope, but in order for me to lift this up myself and try to tie it on, it's not going to be easy. It's not light. This is the hind quarter I got here. I got a hind and a front, and I'm going to cut the hind quarter up first. And there's a reason, because there is some ruined meat on this quarter, and I'm not sure how much. So I'm going to cut this first. I'm going to try to get most of my fry meat and everything from this hind quarter. It's better meat. But I need to see how much I got lost in order to see how much of the front quarter I can devote to jerky and grind and that sort of thing. So that's not my priority cuts, the jerky and stuff. I usually just make that kind of stuff out of whatever extra meat I got left. The fry and stew and that sort of thing is priority. We actually eat a lot of moose, so we try to get what we need first, and then I guess the jerky is almost like luxury meat for us. Okay, so what I do with the hook is this pointed end is actually fairly pointed. You can shove right through meat, but in this case I think I'm just going to put it right through here. So that's where rope goes. I checked it out there before I start videoing this. I don't think there'll be any issue with it tearing through there. And if it do, I guess I'll land on the cardboard below. So, but anyway, it's not going to. So we'll put that there, and I'll set this up and show you how I'm going to hang it. So as you can see now, that hook is left there. The objective is to get this hook hooked into the rope up in the ceiling. So here goes. Okay, so I've changed my mind completely, and so I'll share my mind change. Normally what I do is I hook this hook right through the meat. When I do that, the hook stands up straight. When I lift up my quarter, the hook stands up like this. In this case, I just got the hook put through like that. As soon as I hold up that meat, it's just going to fall over. That's no good. So, but because this is so open, which is not normally the case, all I'm going to do is the complete opposite. And I'm going to hook my hook in the ceiling, and I'm just going to lift up my quarter and hook it onto that hook. So let's try this one. Okay, so I got it hung up. Wasn't overly gracious. Lots of ways I could have did it better, I guess. Including move a whole pile of junk and back the truck right in, but just take your time, be smart about it. Not light lifting a quarter meat yourself. Especially not like that. It's alright, I guess, if you got it on a pack board or something, but even then it's heavy. But I'm also going to just take that rope, in order to think about it, and put up through the hoop and tie it on, just in case for some reason that meat hook pulls through. I don't want to end up losing a whole quarter of meat down on the floor. Alright.